Hey there, it's Mackenzie, your host of Winning. We're looking for sponsors for the podcast. If you have a business that you would like to promote to thousands of people, send us an email at podcastwinning@gmail.com or send us a message on social media. I cannot wait to hear from you. Now on to the show.
Winning is your guide to making it in business. Join our award-winning host and entrepreneur, Mackenzie Kilshaw, and special guests in casual conversations that will educate and inspire you on your business journey. Winning will help you learn the hard lessons the easy way with guidance from celebrated entrepreneurs and business leaders. It's fun. It's informative. It's winning.
Hello and welcome to Winning. I am your host, Mackenzie Kilshaw, and today's guest is one of my very favorite people in the world, Carleen Bartel. Hi, Carleen.
Thanks. Oh, favorite people too.
Carleen and I, as you can probably tell, are really good friends. And Carleen is also a small town girl. Grew up in rural Saskatchewan. She convocated from the College of Engineering at the University of Saskatchewan in 2004. She joined Catterall and Wright Consulting, and she became a partner in 2010, which is pretty cool because 6 years experience became a partner. She has 19 years of experience. I don't know how this is possible because we're like 25, but she's 19. I don't know. 19 years of experience in municipal engineering field. She at Catterall and Wright does a lot of the business management tasks like marketing and human resources for their growing company, and they peaked at 47 employees. So Carleen has a lot of people to deal with. Another thing I love about Carleen, she enjoys giving back and volunteering her time. She's the president of CREW, which is the Commercial Real Estate Women's Network for Saskatchewan, and she's a founding member of FEAT, which is Female Engineers, Architects, and Technologists. So welcome, Carleen, and thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Yeah, I know. This is fun.
We finally got this to work. I don't have the stomach flu today. I wasn't bit by a dog today. So.
Honestly, like behind the scenes, you guys, you do not even understand. You think, oh, it takes them an hour to record. This is true. But as Carleen said, she had the stomach flu. She got bit by a dog. And the business person in me is really coming out because not impressed with the doggy daycare. We will not name them, but that's a whole other story. But we're here today, and it's going to be really fun. Carleen, obviously, what I just told you, you know she's an engineer, male-dominated field. We're going to talk a lot about that too. And yeah, Carleen, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? I kind of did your synopsis there, but tell us about how did you become an engineer and kind of lead us into where you are now, what your kind of daily life looks like.
Sure. Well, yeah, I grew up in Meacham. I didn't really want to stray too far. So I wanted to find a program that I was interested in near home base, right?
Yep.
I was, graduating at 17 and wasn't ready to leave. So I think I was interested in being an architect to start with. And there was the architectural engineering technology program out of Moose Jaw, but that was still too far away from this.
I get it.
Mama's girl, I guess you say. So I didn't move too far. So, I did visit, in grade 8, I visited the College of Engineering and did it was a grade 8, I can't remember what it was called, Discover Engineering, I guess it was. And they went through all the different types of engineering. And so I had remembered that when it came down to making some plans. And like the design and the building side, that's always what I had dreamed of doing. I would spend hours outside, building snow forts or inside building and designing different things like mailboxes and post office.
That's cool. Post office. Oh,
little structures and things, and
every little girl dreams about building a post office.
Post office in my room, and Lisa and Lindy had their own businesses as well. We had the public library, the PL library, public library.
Yeah. When you're 8, that makes sense.
We all had things, and I had the post office. I don't really know exactly how that ties into engineering, but we like to build things.
Yep.
And that's where I ended up then. So stuck close to home, graduated in 2004, and I worked for sci-fi engineering summer science camps throughout, and so developed quite a few business related skills on marketing, client relations, working with the staff, because I started as an instructor and became a head instructor, and then an assistant director and a director. So got to learn some management skills, and really didn't have any engineering, direct engineering experience from those years. I mean, you're managing kids and running camps, and it's about science and the love of science and engineering. So I still don't know how I got hired at Catterall, right? But I guess those other skills were maybe something that they liked, and I got hired on in I think April of 2004, and started I believe it was like May 4th, 2004. So
right after you convocated. Look at that though. Look at what a summer job, the skills that a summer job gave you, managing a team, dealing with, I'll say, difficult customers, they're kids.
Some of them, rogue kids. Run away, right? And
yeah, I mean, that really prepared you. Hey, if you're going to start a business or you're going to have a business, you're prepared. Summer camp teaches you everything.
You have to consider the safety aspect of that and running a camp, and lots of managerial. So those were some of the best summers, ever we've had, because you got to work with 12 to, I think we were up to 18 maybe when I left, 12 to 18 other engineers and science related people, all the same age, running the camps. And so it was, you probably
made a lot of networking, like contacts there too then, right? Probably people that you still 19 years later 100%. That you're still having your network. That's very cool. That goes back to volunteering and giving your time. I mean, I know this was a job, but how things like that really can help you in your business network.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I say and recommend to people starting out, and that I wish maybe I could advocate for even more, I guess, to new people starting out, is that they get involved with the association, with whatever networking events you can find, because that's how you meet people and connect with them outside of an actual meeting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And they might think of you for another job offer, to work with for this future project or whatever it might be, right? So
your network is always a benefit for you, right? It always helps you. Always.
It always helps. Yeah. I just came off of a week-long networking event through the Saskatoon Construction Association, and it was their 61st curling bonspiel. 61 years that they've been putting this on.
That's amazing.
But you get paired up with a new team every year. So from anyone in the construction industry, right? You're matched up, and then you play a different team every day. And sometimes you maybe have one or two or three, depending on which event you end up in, but you're curling all week, and you get to hang out with your team and develop those extra bonds, which you wouldn't necessarily have. You get to meet someone new every year, and then curl against different people who you also meet. And so
that's fantastic. What a great event. And clearly it's working 61 years later.
61 years. Yeah. And then I joined Crew about, 6 years ago, 2016. Is that right? And became president a few years ago. But I've loved Crew for a similar reason. It's mainly women, but men can join if you want. But and it's women within the broad description of commercial real estate. So it could be engineers, architects, realtors, insurance, finance, banking, all sorts. Really. It's a broad, wide range. Interior designers, legal surveyors, everyone, planners. It's so diverse, and it's allowed me to broaden, the network even more into other areas. And so we have events that we hold monthly. And then as president, I also attend leadership summits and conventions in other cities, mainly in the US, but Vancouver is hosting actually in 2024. So looking forward to that. But yeah. And then the FEAT luncheon group, we started that, my friend Tara and I, gosh, I don't even know how many years ago when she moved back. They were doing it in Regina where she was working. And so when she moved back here, we started it up, and just an opportunity to connect with other female engineers, architects, and technologists. And it's very informal, where we just throw out, okay, let's meet here for lunch, and send out an invite, and someone does the coordination, and you just gather and meet for an hour and visit about work and life and that, and connect and carry on with your day. So
that's great. And I think we're going to talk about that more, because we are going to talk about, being a female in a world full of mostly men. So we'll come back to that. I just love, though, even with Crew, how you said, it's anyone in commercial real estate. And that is just another way, broaden your network. And, maybe depending what kind of engineer you are, or architect, whatever they happen to be, you're just building that network. So if somewhere down the line you need to stage something and you need an interior designer, one or three, right? Like, exactly. What a great way to build. No, you wouldn't know.
Someone and that do an evaluation for me, or of price out this lot that we're looking at next door.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone who specializes in condo law. That's come up in some of the projects that we've looked at. And I've now been able to recommend one of our lawyers from Crew, because I've heard her speak multiple times on the intricacies of condo law. I'm like, you got to talk to, this person.
Exactly.
That I can recommend. So I wouldn't have that contact and connection to offer up necessarily before. So
exactly. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you are in a network, right? Any industry. So Carleen now has a lawyer to talk to, but any industry, it gives you those people. And especially when we talk about community involvement, supporting local, that is another local person that you can pick up the phone and call, right? Which is really 100%. Great.
Yeah. And now, because it's, Crew has 10,000 members worldwide, that really, if you go anywhere or move to another city, you have the ability, or even if you're just visiting another city or there for work, you've got a network anywhere that you can connect with. So yeah,
that's awesome. Cool. Well, and we talk a lot. I know that you're a partner, so you have other partners, and you have close to 50 staff. So you're not by yourself. You've got people to talk things through, but there are some people, I'm sure, that work alone. And so that gives them an entire network of people to ask questions, bounce ideas off of, and maybe it spirals from, within that sector to who does your social media? What have you done advertising? It takes on all aspects. Who's your accountant? What lawyer do you use? Right? It takes on all aspects of business, and it doesn't just confine you within your industry. It spreads your wings everywhere. A huge thank you to our sponsor, Just For You Day Spa and Wellness. Just For You is Canada's premier day spa with 5 locations in Alberta and Saskatchewan. The award-winning luxury spa features Leah Reese cosmetics and iconic Betty jewelry that you can also purchase online. Visit www.justforyoudayspa.com to book your service or to purchase a gift card.
100%. I had, there's another networking group that I was invited to that my one friend is who runs a business as well. And I was just looking to see what it was called, and I can't find it here anyway, but it's for that very reason. And it's a group for entrepreneurs basically to get together who maybe don't have 4 partners to bounce ideas back. And talk about, okay, I have this HR issue, or I have this management issue, financial, whatever it might be. And they've got that trusted group that it, can confidentially basically provide an ear to them, right? Like,
yeah.
And have that support. So, yeah.
Well, and being an entrepreneur and a small business owner can be lonely. And also, if you have, for example, yourself, you're an engineer. That doesn't necessarily make you a business person right off the hop, right? I mean, you're learning these things as you go. And so,
speaking of advice,
but
if there was any advice, it would be to get some more business training, basically, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm trained as an engineer. I don't have an HR degree. I don't have that. It's just been learned to do by doing, and the old 4-H slogan there, right? But that was something from a young age that's how I've operated. So we've hired some consultants here in the last 2 years and have come a long ways in our HR program, because like you say, as we hit 47, and I mean, that's with, I think we had 9 seasonals here between interns and summer students. So it's a lot of people to manage and care for. And so, yeah, we have hired some consultants because we need help on making sure that we're keeping up and that we're doing things properly and have some processes in place so that things are not.
Yes. Yeah. And that is advice that I give over and over. Just 2 things that you just said there. If you don't know what you're doing, pay someone that does and get someone to help you. Exactly. And set up processes to guide you along the way. Because then if you're talking about HR, if you have a process for asking for time off, then it's dealt with the same for every person, right? And then for you, I mean, you're handling that, but you're also an engineer. So you can't have 25 emails back and forth for an employee wanting a week off, right? You have to have a process for that, because it saves you at the end of the day time and energy, which is money, right? From dealing with those things.
Developing these processes takes time. And I think that's something that is hard to understand. It sounds easy to develop some of these things, but when you actually have to manage and see them through and constantly be editing and changing them, it gives you that appreciation of it, right? So,
yeah, and I think too, it's also sometimes maybe not intimidating isn't the right word, but when you think, oh, I have to pay someone, $5,000 to do this or whatever the amount is, and you think, do we need to pay that, or is it something we can do? And then you kind of sit down and look at how long is it going to take you to do. If you don't know what you're doing, you got to do the good old Google train yourself to figure it out. And probably at the end of the day, it's worth it to spend the money, right?
Oh, yeah, 100% it is. Yeah. And I mean, it's only going to build you up. And maybe once the processes are there, then you can take it on and you can find some HR support to help you with that. But once it's there, then you can utilize it and you will gain from those efficiencies, right? Yeah,
for sure. And the same goes for marketing.
Off the corner of your desk and not really doing
and not doing it. Exactly. Same goes for marketing. Same goes for finance. Right? It doesn't matter what the sector is, because if you need help, you need help.
It's like me trying to do the social media for our office. We try and work together here and do it, but we're doing it ourselves. Are we doing as best a job as we can? Yeah. But could we be doing better? I'm sure there's someone else that could help us and do that. And same with for, crew and feet as well. It would be nice to have that. We don't have the budget for those funds, but it would sure be nice to have, some additional people who are actually trained and have that knowledge, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at it on the flip side, it would be nice, right? But if you look at it on the flip side, if you ask a social media person to design your project, to do your engineering work, right? Like, we all think, oh, I shouldn't spend the money on this, or I could use that money on something else that, if you're talking about HR, that could make me money. Like, there's lots of things you could say, do I need to spend the money on this? But Would you ask an engineer to create an HR procedure or policy? Probably not. Right? Like you wouldn't ask your social media team.
Be the first one you would think of, that's for sure.
That's right. That's right. So it's one of those things where if you say it backwards or invert the two positions, that would be ludicrous. So let's just, anytime you're like, should I spend this money? Flip those two roles. And if that seems absurd, you should spend the money.
True. We're always a double-edged sword too on our social media, and like we come from different backgrounds of who we're promoting to and what. Like our social media, we're promoting, some of the cool things we do, and it's not necessarily we're selling a product. So
correct. Yeah. Yeah. It's a different.
We also come from a different reason too, so to justify sometimes having that, but it would be nice to have some more training on that because it is important, and I think people who are maybe looking to hire us or maybe looking to come work for us do want to see, okay, here's what have you been up to and what's your social media presence, what's your website like, and so
exactly
it is important still, but maybe
are they
for different
involved?
Reasons on
we're
not selling products or things like that on it,
but are you involved in the community? Do you give back? What other projects have you done that I could look at to see if I think you're the right person for the job?
Exactly.
Right?
What you do for office events and
Yeah. So you're not even for employees. Yeah. Maybe you're trying to attract a new employee. Right. Yeah. And the thing is, you're not selling a product, but you're selling your company.
Yeah.
And that at the end of the day is still that's right.
We like to think that we're all advertising our company at all times on, when we're on site or when we're representing our company at different networking events or that, the word of mouth is great from our end, right? So
yes, of course.
Try to do a good job representing our office to our clients wherever we are. But
yeah, exactly.
That other part is important still.
Yes, and that also gets, I think, trickier when you're talking about having processes in place and whatnot. When you all of a sudden have 50 people and soon you'll have more than, you're going to continually grow. If you don't have those policies and procedures in place, you want to make sure that the people representing your company are representing you well, right? Yeah. So if you have those things in place, that people are going to adhere to it, right? So that's also part of, your people are a reflection on your business, and you want to always make sure that's positive.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Speaking of growth, I don't know if we have room to make it much more. We moved a year ago, and we're almost already full here, so it's kind of wild. But
it's crazy though.
Rooftop patio options this summer. I don't know what we'll have to do here.
So you might be remotely working. Hey, open a second location. It's so fun. I did it, and double the fun, double the work was kind of how it goes. And for those of you looking to open, if you're looking to open a second location, we'll have an episode on that another day. I get a lot of questions about that, and there's definitely pros, but there's also things that people don't think about. So stay tuned for another episode on that. Yeah, it's funny because people think, I'll have double the revenue, I'll have double the exposure, but you also have double the expenses and double the staff. And, it's not, I mean, many, many businesses have multiple locations. It's not, something that can't be done, but going right back, processes, policies, procedures, you have to have those in place.
Well, and this is where you need to read my friend Jeff's book on cloning yourself too. When you feel like you need a clone in each location, right? So
it's true
all the time. Yeah,
it's true. Before we started recording, we were talking. I told Carleen it's just audio now, not video, but I'm going to get a YouTube page sometime down the line. I just don't have the time to do it. There you go. I need to clone myself so that people can see us while we're recording this.
I'll send you the link for Jeff's book.
Yes, please do. Please do.
You'll be fun to have on the podcast, by the way.
Well, we'll get you the link for that too. That'll be great. Yeah. Okay, so you started in 2004 with Catterall and Wright. You became a partner in 2010. So 6 years later, that is pretty impressive to become a partner. Like, were you even 30 years old? I
No,
don't think so.
I don't
No.
think so. Yeah, not
No.
quite.
Not quite.
It
So
was wild. It was
that
wild.
is, tell us about that. Like, what was that like?
Well, I remember being approached and we had kind of a few days to sort of mull it over, or maybe one day, I can't even remember. And ultimately we all decided to jump in, and it was by far one of the best decisions I think we all made. And we're so thankful for that opportunity. And it kind of just worked out with the previous partners' plans for retirement. And they obviously saw some potential in the five of us, and we sure did appreciate that for sure. So
That's awesome.
how we did it was a bit of a transition where they stayed on for a few years and helped out to transition some of the roles, which was great. It wasn't just sign it over and see you later. So that was nice to have that support as I tried to figure out liability insurance and those kind of things, and more of the hiring and looking at the safety and employee manual, and as we developed some of those, and so that was really good to still have them on for a few years. We appreciated that, but we were pretty young.
Scared? Like, did you have fear?
How did we do that?
I know. Did you have fear? Like, was that did you have any moments where maybe before you said yes or right after where you thought, oh my God, I can't, like, I'm too young. I don't have the experience. I don't know what I'm doing.
I think to a degree, probably all of us had some fear of unknown. But I think we also saw like, this is a great opportunity. And, this business started in 1965, and what an honor to be asked to carry it on. Right. Like, so yes, there was definitely fear because we were still young, and not all of us even had our PNs, I don't think, at the time, or professional designations. So, I would say there was a little bit of fear, but again, that honor of being asked to carry on a successful business was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think too, when you explain how they stayed on to help you and guide you through, that is monumental, because had it just been, as of this date, it's yours, good luck, that changes things, right?
Sure. And if there's anything I could recommend, that would be that for anyone else looking to transition a business to try to have that succession of or availability, whether you're still working or not. But it's nice to have the help and that guidance, and even transitioning with clients and that, right? That face.
Oh, for sure.
To those formal transitions.
For sure. And from someone that's recently sold a business, on the other side, you want your business to succeed even when you aren't a part of it. I mean, they built that business, so they want it to go to the right people and ensure that you find success too. So that's awesome.
I mean, you also know when to let go, and I think everyone does. They knew when to let go, and that we've done, and now it's your turn. And we've got different ideas too, right? And so
for sure,
like the person who bought your business will also have different ideas, and they need that time to develop.
Yeah, make it their own. Yeah, for sure. So I know we talked about I have here when you wanted to be an engineer, but I think it kind of started as a young age, and maybe you didn't realize that was an engineer, but the fact that you like to build things. I know at the beginning you said, architecture. So what went from, how did you transition from one thing to another?
I think, like I said, the architecture schools were all out of province, and I was not. I was just too young and did not want to leave yet. And so that architectural technologist program was Moose Jaw, and that was still too far. And so the next best thing for building and design that I could think of was civil engineering. And that's where I landed and applied there. I looked at, and I guess in grade 12, you also did a tour of the university, and I think I chose engineering and physical therapy. And
I could see you doing that too.
Physical therapy part. part and thinking, oh yeah, that could be kind of cool too, because that's fairly athletic. But it scared me off with all the anatomy and biology and things that you needed to know. And I was like, no, math for me.
Math and science it is.
Math and science it was. Yeah, and that's what I went with. That's what I kind of excelled at more so than the biology parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember, I think sometimes when you're young, you just don't have a clue, I'll say, but do you remember thinking there's not a lot of women here? Like I know it wasn't just you.
Like at university?
Yeah. Do you remember thinking like, this is mostly men?
I was aware
entering a field.
Civils also had one of the highest percentages between civil and chemical engineering. They had one of the highest percentages of male to female ratio. So I was never really like bothered by it, or I had
how many
friends and
how many in a class? Let's say there was 100 people in a class. How many like what was
in civil?
How many women would there have been?
I want to say there was like 30 to 40%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good. I mean, I think like when you're 17, sometimes I think, do you even recognize that? Do you even recognize like it's way more men than women? And maybe you don't.
Yeah,
maybe it's not a fear.
I don't know. Like I guess I was a bit of a, what do you call it? A tomboy.
Yeah.
Not with boys all the time growing up, and hung out at the rink and played scrub ball or hockey down at the rink. And that was mainly with the guys because that's just who was out and who, So I don't know if I just didn't have a big issue with it ever. So
that's good.
I didn't notice it. And I don't think I was ever, I was also never treated any differently, I would say, which was great, by my classmates or by the guys, say, in engineering. I never felt like I was a minority, or never felt that I was singled out because I was a female, right? So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And for the most part, even that's carried on throughout the career. I mean, other than the odd the odd construction worker that asks you out on a date or wants to take you dancing to the Long Branch while you're doing a long test down in the road in Martinsville. There's some funny moments I've had where, well, that's flattering, but no.
Well, I was going to ask you that too, because in the field, I mean, I'm talking technically in the field now, when you're out at a site, have you ever had, or someone says, you should ask your boss, or something that, you know what they're implying, that you're not maybe capable of the job?
I think maybe when I was really junior and couldn't make some of those decisions yet, but I think that's with any junior. I mean, I was saying, well, I got to check this out, and I don't have all the answers for you right now, and that's okay. But otherwise, no, it was okay. I haven't had those issues like you might think, basically.
Yeah. That's good, though.
You're definitely an anomaly on some sites, but it's changing. I mean, I'll go out to the odd site and I see female operators now too, right? So it's not that it's
which
just
is fantastic.
The engineers showing up on site. The contractors now have some females that are working, and so.
Yeah. Well, I know I've talked previously on other episodes, and in the late 90s, and before that, I think it was even more so, but when I graduated, and similar time when you graduated, a lot of it was like, are you going to be a nurse, a teacher, a secretary, right? Like there wasn't a lot of, I don't want to say opportunities, because there was, but there wasn't a lot of, in my class, like none of my girlfriends became an engineer, right? Yeah. It kind of wasn't a hairstylist. Like it kind of wasn't on the list, where I think now those lists are gone, right? Yeah. You do what you're interested in. It's not just that girls do this and boys do that. And I'm really happy to hear that's changing and changed.
Yeah. And I do think some of it comes from the effort that, people have put in to try and make sure that girls are aware of this. And that is, I guess, where part of my passion came from for joining sci-fi back in the day, right? And then volunteering my time for the grade 8 Discover engineering sessions, right? So even a couple of years ago, we went in, Carleen from my office and I went in and did a little road building project with them. We did pans of Jell-O and had them purchase road building materials with graham crackers and
cool,
candy and all sorts of spaghetti, those kind of things. And you had to build a road that would hold some weight on top of this Jell-O, right? So, but part of that giving back and trying to maybe give another girl that chance or that glimmer of, hey, I see these two have careers in this, and they're kind of fun, they're kind of cool, and similar to what my experience was, where in grade 8, I had that opportunity to see university students talk about what they were learning about and what they were doing. So I think that's important to for kids of any age, really, to get to the College of Engineering or the university in general and take some of the camps, see some of the camps or the workshops that they do. And it just helps get that fear out of their mind of growing their knowledge of what they could do, right? So,
well, I think too, it's helping the next generation of people. And in all reality, you'll work with one of those girls that's currently in grade 8. You'll at some point in time cross their path,
potentially, right?
Yeah. And what a great way to show others, and especially younger people, what opportunities they do have. Yeah.
Yeah. APEGS, our association, had a movie premiere. I can't remember what the name of the movie was now. It was an engineering related movie, and you could sign up to show them that you're at school. So I went to Henley's school and showed it, and then just had Q&A after. There's just so many little things like that you can sign up, no matter what you're doing. If one student saw you up there and heard a little bit about what you do and like the movie, maybe that does change their opinion and their mindset when it comes down the road to figuring out what they want to do. Do they want to go to tech school or get a degree or what, right? So
exactly. It's hard too I remember being like 16 and they're like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Yeah. And you're like, I'm 16 years old. I want to get my license first and then decide. And I mean, Carleen has a January 1st birthday. So she was literally had just turned 17 and a half. And that is a big decision. And like you said, it was intimidating to think about moving away from your family far. And I mean, Moose Jaw, if you're not from Saskatchewan, I know we have listeners all over. It's like probably 2 hours from where Carleen lived. Not really that far. But when you're 17, that seems like, whoa, too far. I already have to move away from home. I have to be able to drive home if I need to, right?
45 minutes was my limit, I guess. And I knew I had more connections in Saskatoon too, and some family there. Yeah. More comfortable with the city, having grown up in, Saskatoon was my major center, right? So that just had a level of comfort with it already. We weren't completely moving out to another city and not knowing it and not knowing anyone, right? So that was
and God bless those young people that take that leap. I know when my oldest niece graduated from grade 12 and said, I'm moving to Vancouver. I mean, she grew up on a farm in Saskatchewan. I'm moving to Vancouver for school. And I remember being like, oh, no, you're not. And who am I to say, right? I'm her auntie, but being like, you're moving to a huge city, like where you don't know anybody, by yourself. And I just give her all the props in the world because she said, I always wanted to live in a big city. I'm going to take a 1-year program. And if I hate it, I can come back, and she did it. And she lived there for over a year and loved it, loved every minute. She did come home and took a different career path. But I mean, I'm just so proud of people that do that. And it's no different than starting a business or becoming a partner. It's really taking that leap, and it might be scary. And you might think, who am I to be doing this? But taking that leap and facing that fear, I think, is just huge for any business owner.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to do it
on those different paths, right?
Exactly. I think too, I just want to circle back to at the very beginning when we talked about your women's group that you kind of founded and are part of. And I think that because maybe other people had different experiences than you did, and maybe they did feel like I'm the only woman, or, as we talk about harassment, or, maybe you should ask the guys on your team, things like that women have felt. And I know that's changing, which makes me happy, but just let's touch on that a little bit again, and that group and how that group has helped you, when you are sometimes just the only woman.
Yeah, I think it just gives you an outlet. It gives you that time to maybe talk about some of the things that we're all juggling. And maybe lots of us do have help from our partners in the childcare department, but maybe that's a place where you could chat about how are you making this work? How are you making a mat leave work? How are you broaching some of those topics? You're wanting to start a family and you've been approached now to be a partner, right? Maybe some of those conversations happen there, and whereas they maybe didn't have that opportunity, or you didn't have that opportunity without that lunch connection or the connection through crew, right? To have some meaningful discussion on transitioning within a business and some of the concerns that we as women maybe would have that go along with those, right? So
yeah, I love that. And it just goes back to your network, right?
Yeah.
Because that can also go to your personal life. Like you said, having a child, or how do you juggle things? Like, how do you have 3 kids and you're a partner in a business, or you're an entrepreneur and you got to get to hockey and dance and all that? It's overwhelming feeling, and knowing that other people are facing the same thing as you, it makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like you can chat with others and find out, this is how we get our 4 kids to hockey, dance, and music. We hire help, like you'd say. We talk about hiring for things you need, and that's a way you can do it, right? So
I would really like a driver. Because instead of I had to drive to 3 hours away for a tournament or game, if someone could drive me and I could work for those 3 hours, and then I could enjoy the game.
Rural Uber of some sort.
Yeah. I don't need any more businesses, but for somebody listening, that is a really good
rural Uber. Write that down. Yeah.
Really though. I mean, people in big cities have drivers, and that's why. Because if you live in LA and you're in your car for 4 hours a day. Oh, sorry, we're not talking to you. It's okay. But things like that, innovative ideas that allow you to work, but also give you that balance to be able to spend the time with your family.
Doing for meal prep. Has anyone used HelloFresh? Oh, there's these pre-made meals. Have you tried those? It can be simple like that. What do you have for childcare? When we were younger and Henley was younger, there was lots of childcare questions on how you make that work. Where are you getting in, and any recommendations? So
for sure.
Lots of things that come up at those meetings, depending on which stage of life you're in too, is gonna.
Because there's all ages of people in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not you as you grow and develop, and you don't have a baby anymore, but you've got a toddler, and then you've got a, elementary age child. There's someone definitely you can
usually find someone to connect with that's at a similar stage or has been there, done that, and have you tried this? So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a most important lesson you can share that you've learned throughout your years of business that somebody knew? Maybe it's this, maybe it's the network thing, but something that someone can kind of take in their back pocket and help them out?
Yeah, I think I just have to circle back to getting your network developed and learning some of those public speaking skills to network. Like there are networking skills that you can learn, and even with crew, we actually had a speaker in on how to introduce yourself and how to develop, your one-liner mission statement to introduce yourself to others. And I think that is very important. I also think being genuine and staying true to yourself and who you are is also very important. Open and honest communication, no matter what, it goes a long ways on trust, developing trust with others and then with you, right? So
I totally agree with you, and I couldn't agree more on that, because if you're transparent and people know what you're about, then they trust you. That builds loyalty. They know what they're getting, right? They know what to expect, and they know what the outcome's going to be, and it will get you so far in business. So far.
Yeah. Yep. I think that trust is huge. And I mean, trust is hard when it is broken. So that's number one.
Yeah. I know. I've said before too, like, business is like kindergarten, right? Like, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Be nice to people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all the little skills you learned in year 5, they apply today. So go back to those, right?
If you
treat
get
others like you want to be treated.
You got to let your client know and reschedule the meeting.
That is right.
But,
that is right.
And honest, and they'll understand.
Exactly. Is there anything you wish you would have known or known sooner?
Not sure if I wish I would have known. Maybe more education on like the business related topics that I maybe manage now would have been great to have known. And honestly, having a mentor from a younger age would have been, I think, a huge asset, because I really didn't have anyone from my family or friends that growing up that was an actual engineer. And even after I graduated, say, to have been connected with a mentor to keep in touch, and who was maybe a little bit more senior and been in a similar situation or not. But I think that would have been something, if I could go back, I maybe would have sought out or tried to find something. And that's something we've talked about having in crew and developing. We have board buddies right now where we do connect with some of the members one-on-one, but we don't actually have a formal mentorship program like some of the other chapters do. So I think that would be something, as we continue to grow, that we could look into.
Yeah, for sure. Mentorship and coaching only gets you further faster.
Yeah. Someone to bounce some ideas off of.
Or maybe a podcast that you can listen to get some good advice.
Yeah, a suggestion for this book, or a suggestion for, you got to talk to this person, or listen to a podcast. She'll lead the way.
Well, I mean, that's part of why I'm doing this, right? Because I remember graduating from university, I had a marketing and an HR degree, and I thought, well, now I can just do any marketing job and I'm going to do great because I've got all the skills I need. And then you get into your first job and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know at all what I'm doing. So if you had that person, right, that you could, like you say, bounce ideas off of, talk to, do you feel this way? Just listening to other people's stories really can guide you. So I'm really happy that you could be on today to help, inspire maybe a future entrepreneur or someone that's being asked to become a partner, how that works. Carleen, if people want to find you, where can they find you? Instagram, Facebook? What do you got?
Instagram,
I think I'm gonna go to question.
LinkedIn. I'm on all 3. I'm on the Twitter, but I don't even know what my handle is, and I don't really go on it, so don't search for me there.
We talk about this. You don't need to be on every social platform. You should probably just delete it if you're not on it.
Probably should. Yeah,
you probably should. There's my advice.
I'm Twitter, but LinkedIn, I'm trying to be more and more visible in as much as I can, I guess. And Facebook, and you want to check me out there.
Great. And we'll, in our social media, we'll tag Carleen so that you can find her. Because I do know that if there are people with questions, or maybe they're interested in crew or, becoming a member, that they can reach out to you too. So thank you, Carleen. I appreciate your time.
Me. I'm so glad we could finally connect.
I know. It's like the world. Hey, it's a world of entrepreneurs and business people, right? I mean, we've got lots going on. So I appreciate you taking the time to do this and to help and inspire some other people. So thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you everyone for listening. And I will see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening to Winning. Be sure to subscribe to get all of our new episodes. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media and leave a rating and review wherever you listen to Winning. To catch all of the latest from us, you can follow Winning Podcast on Instagram at winning_podcast, Facebook at Winning Podcast, and on Twitter at Winning Pod. Winning was created and is produced by me, Mackenzie Kilshaw. Music created by Summer Furby. Editing by Seth Armstrong. Special thanks to Shauna Foster for voicing our opening. And of course, a huge thank you to this episode's guest. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.